back with another pointless video that isn't gonna make a difference in nobody but me. Like it's just cool though. It's cool. Nah, I literally had. You know what? Before I leave, I was gonna leave, but all right. So what happened was my phone, the memory was starting to die. But I thought about it. I was like, how the fuck is it? And the reason I wasn't recording the videos and saving it to my SD card. It was going to my internal. I was like, damn, already? But I feel better from that imbalance I had from the fish that I'm not really cooking correct. I know that's what it is. It has to be. Or cheap fish, like I mentioned, but I'm just done with that. I'm gonna stay to my regular eating cycle and keep eating how I've been. Rice, beans, onions, and maybe salads. I can go back to eating salads from Subway, and going from there. But yeah, I really believe that we as a nation could move forward. We could improve, but it's gonna take both men and women. Like I'm not with the. I'm gonna be real. Like I don't believe in this whole. I just this narrative that we're having with. I really don't know what the narrative is, to be honest. I really don't know, but I think that we could let off on mass control. I really believe that we could let off mass control. And if you want to, in order to be in control, I think that it's going to start shifting, and the right people will, with how things are going now, I believe that the right people will automatically utilize their control effectively. For example, this whole Web 3.0, it just sounds better, but Web 3.0, number one, just learning a little bit about the history behind the internet. And I still have a lot of learning to do, but it's fascinating to me how there's a movement to improve the internet because of the lack of respect and the lack of integrity with the people that hold the power. And we tend to trust the very same people that we tend to trust the wrong people, like, because they, from the outside, it looks so fascinating, it looks legit, it looks legal, it's a business, it's an entity. There's no way they could do this. It's like, I don't know, a lot of us humans are naive as fuck. Like, we're just naive. We're naive. We tend to think just because it says something, it is that. And especially here in America, we think that just because it's on paper that it's legit and it can't be wrong. And we think just because we have the right to sue that people won't do fuck shit. Nah, man, like, that's not how it is. Like, people, corporations, businesses, like, they're fucked up. A lot of people are moving and doing wrong stuff every day from a universal principle. When I say wrong, I mean universal, like, not on some perception shit. Like, this is one of the points that got me is, and I really seen it, but I really can't communicate it much, and I'm gonna just give it a shot. But it, like, the whole I agreed to the terms. I realize even me at this point, I always agree to the terms. I don't even fucking, like, think twice about it. And I think twice, but I don't act according to what I'm thinking. That's what I'm saying. Like, I think twice. I know it's like, what the fuck am I agreeing to? But I say, fuck it, I have access to. So I believe that Web 3 is going to 100% change that. It's like I do believe that, and again, you could hear my lack of confidence in this topic because, number one, I'm not super educated on it, but I believe there's nothing for free in this world and the ecosystem that we have now. There's nothing for free. Like, and I started to really believe that when I tapped into learning marketing. In fact, one of the main things the main takeaway that I'm going to share in this video is learn basics on marketing. That's the main takeaway. If you think that, I'm probably going to go off until I decide to not communicate no more. But if there's, one thing that you're going to get from this video, something valuable that I'm going to share, and despite all the negativity, despite all the positive, whatever, despite all the negative or ignorant points that I share, the one thing that you need to take away from this is learn basics on marketing and go from there. That's it. That's it. That's the value. So everything else from here is like pointless. But marketing is, marketing is so important. And the psychology behind marketing and the control that people have and abused because of marketing is sad, but positive depending on the position. So what I mean is, like, if you are profiting from the behaviors of other humans because of what you know and how to market, if you know exactly what marketing does, the basics of human behavior, you have the resources to really understand it, you have the time, then it's not a bad thing. It's not sad. It's a good thing because you're on the winning team, if you will, right? One thing that we got to realize is there's research and development organizations and a lot of regular fuckers like me, a lot of regular people like me are the ones that pay taxes, and there's people that have the knowledge, they have the understanding on how to access these tax dollars to experiment on humans, to experiment on technology, to experiment. There's different sections or sectors that people could experiment on, but there's people, I used to always wonder, like, how the fuck can somebody, like psychologists and in the medical field, I think they use the word subject, subject one, subject two, but subject could be a human, animal, or whatnot. And I used to think, I'm like, what you mean a subject, nigga? I'm a subject? How do I become a subject? How the fuck? Like, seriously? I think about that stuff. I'm like, how does somebody have the time to really... Okay, so this is really what I'm trying to get at. Is like, I've studied basics on psychology, and the stuff that I read, it was like, I couldn't really get the lesson because I was stuck in the mindset of, how the fuck do you even know this? How the fuck do you get to the point of really finding this out, right? Like, how the fuck do you really... How do you have the resources, the time? How do you know this? How do you know this about a human? Like, how? And the truth is that people are compensated and also have access to the very same money that we pay taxes for. And there's other ways as well. This isn't the only way, but there's just resources. There's people that have the time, that their job is to study humans. You know what I mean? Like, they could literally sit back, like I'm sitting back, but right now I'm free. I'm enjoying. I'm not sitting here to study nobody. But there's people that are paid, they're compensated to study people, to follow people, to study, to learn a human. And it goes deeper than just study and follow. It goes very deep. And it doesn't stop there. It actually, there's a lot of organizations that have the ability to follow a person from infant to the age of whenever the fuck, to death. Because we're so curious and we want to know so much about the human. But I'm going to tell you guys this. No matter how much you think you're learning about humans, you're never going to get the ultimate lesson until you figure this shit out for yourself. Meaning, yeah, you could learn little details and nuances about humans and how they operate, but nothing's factual until you start discovering this stuff for yourself. And I don't know if every human's the same. I don't think that, it depends. I believe we have similar characteristics, but I also believe we've all been marketed similarly, which by default creates similar behaviors. I don't think that humans have really expressed or expanded or created to the max, because of my logic behind it is because of the limitations that we have set, the barriers that we've created, the walls that we've built mentally. And I believe that the answer to that is self-discovery. Is self-discovery. And some people say, how the fuck, I've heard that before, it sounds so cliche. It's funny because when I was homeless, I would write this. I said KTS. I would always write KTS, UTS, and STS. And it was abbreviations for know thyself. KTS, know thyself. UTS, understand thyself. And then STS, share thyself. So in my mind, the logic behind it was, number one, yeah, you got to know yourself. You got to know yourself. And how you know yourself is by, well, there's plenty ways to know yourself, but I'm just going to name drop a couple things. Is, first of all, being able to interpret what's going on internally, asking yourself the right questions, knowing what makes you happy, what makes you sad, what are you passionate about, knowing what's fake internally, what isn't. You got to know yourself, right? Another way to know yourself is by documenting, journaling, because you can see what's going on internally on paper. So you read that. It's not okay to just document. You got to read that and study it just like you would any book that's going to lead to success. Asking people that know you or have known you, that you grew up around, asking them quality questions and seeing how they interpret you, how they perceive you. And then UTS is understand thyself. So to get to understanding thyself, that's where the studying comes into place. It's like, it's not just, it's not just recording. It's not just recording. It's not just freaking writing. It's not just about that, but taking it a step further and taking the time to read your writings, taking the time to listen to your videos, your own videos, taking the time to really study what is it that the person that you asked said about you, and really interpreting it, understanding it, just going a little deeper than just surface level documenting, just actually studying yourself, the nuances, your personality, what your eyes, studying your eyes and seeing yourself from a different angle. And then sharing thyself is where you get to the point of documenting and sharing what you've documented, sharing your discoveries. Some people won't feel confident enough to share the bad. They'll just get to the point where it's like only when it's good, when they got it, when they figured it out, when it clicked, that's when they'll share themselves. Nah, man, like, you could do whatever you want, but my point is that when it comes to sharing thyself, that's where you hit the point where you got to teach the world this. Like, there's something about this that the world needs to know. And I say share thyself because I'm talking about personal growth, but share the knowledge, share your athletic ability, share your whatever it is that you're most people, that's where they're discovered, is share thyself. You know what I mean? Like, when they have that confidence and they know that they're super good at whatever it is, whether it's playing video games, playing a sport, communication, whatever that is, like, they start sharing themselves, and that's where it begins to build a community, or a good community or bad, or just a community of thought, a school of thought, if you will, a belief. But I always thought about that. I always, like, when I was homeless, I had a lot of time to think and create, and I used to write, and that's the one thing that comes to mind right now is know thyself. I remember from know thyself, it would be understand thyself, and from I remember where I was when I started to really talk about this. I don't know if it was the first time I wrote it I for sure started talking about it. And I'm grateful, you know. I'm grateful that I'm not homeless anymore, you know, but snap out of it, pussy. Ha 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 ha. Yeah, man, it's like I'm super grateful that I'm not, but I'm grateful I overcame that because it taught me a lot about myself and my ability to be able to survive without this fuck shit that's going on. But I'm not saying that I would choose that over this, but to a certain degree, sometimes I will. But I know that I could do it. I could live that lifestyle. I know I could do it without compromising. It's just gonna take more time. And you know, understanding yourself is a process. It's gonna be a forever journey. Knowing yourself is a forever journey, and sharing yourself is a forever journey if you choose. You know what I mean? Some people want to keep it internal, or they don't have the confidence to release it to the world, because again, we're always comparing to what somebody else has done. And one thing I want to make clear is that a lot of what we see isn't the truth, as in, like, one of the things I've always loved is and most people would agree, or maybe I don't know, it's probably just me, but one thing that I've always looked forward to when I used to watch a movie, I don't see them anymore, but bloopers. I remember a lot of Jackie Chan movies and like Chris Tucker, and just movies in the past. Like it was always the bloopers. The bloopers are like, I forgot. I think it's called the bloopers. But like the part where at the end of the movie it just shows the areas where they fucked up, and it was just so funny. Like you just laugh because that's the reality. That's the truth. The end product, the finished product is great. Don't get me wrong. Movies are great when it's complete done. Music is phenomenal when it's complete done. But we all have this celebrity mentality without process. Like, or at least me. I'll just speak on me because I'm sure I'm the only person in the world that has this. But again, we look at the world and we see the end product. We see, you know, a musician that's like, the song is thumping and you see the bitches twerking and you like, damn, and it creates this image which is supposed to, you know, they got all the lyrics down, they get them all right, and you like, fuck, bro, how can a human do that, bro? Like, shit. What we don't realize is the process. It's like we don't realize how many times they were in their home, in the studio, and it's not their job to emphasize that. Like at the end of the day, they don't have to do that. You know, Will Smith, 50 Cent, Kendrick, Russ, Dre. We don't really realize that the finished products that they've created came from hours of fucking up. And I'm here to just pretty much explain to people that it's 100%, 110%. I don't even know if that's, man, it's okay to fuck up. You need to fuck up. Like, now where I fuck up is the lack of consistency in certain areas to get to a point of being great. That's just my area of fuck up. But I know that because of that, knowing thyself and understanding thyself and also sharing thyself to myself, I realized that a lot of stuff is inconsistent in my behaviors, the way I communicate. But you gotta know yourself. You gotta fuck up is what I meant. You gotta fuck up. You gotta fuck up. You gotta fuck up. You gotta fuck up. You know, some people call it practice. In practice, what are you doing? You technically are fucking up a whole bunch of times. You're creating this behavior internally that is gonna make you better. But again, we're so used to having this celebrity mentality, forgetting the process. Like, we want what they have, we want what rich people got, but because we see the end product, it's tough to connect process with the end product because we think, again, we get that information immediate. So if nowadays, let's talk about now, you go on YouTube, you see an end product, but we don't realize that this person is paid to edit it, or they've edited, they took hours to edit it. We don't see that. So when we see the end product, we start comparing ourselves to somebody's best. We compare ourselves to somebody's best, forgetting that there was a process. There's things being done behind the scene, and we got to keep that top of mind if we're gonna be invested so much time into looking at other people's content, because at the end of the day, it is creating a narrative, and it's blocking out our. That narrative is either, it could be good or bad, but for most, like, if like I tend to, like, I'm not gonna front, I've had jealousy thoughts, you know, I've hating thoughts, I've had those thoughts, I've had them. I'm like, damn. But vocally, I've gotten to the point where I vocally say, nah, man, those people need to keep winning. Whoever it is at that point, I'd be like, they need to keep winning, they need to keep improving, they need to keep winning, they need to continue doing what they're doing. Like, that's awesome. I don't know where them thoughts come from, but you know, the truth is that they need to win, and those people need to win. Those people need to succeed in life. They need to win. They need to succeed in life. They need to be prosperous. And just because, I know it's a drug transaction, but I don't care. Those people need to follow him just to scare him. No, I'm just joking. But holy shit, he ran right into a tree. Holy fuck, bro. You good? Fuck. This nigga just ran into a fucking tree. Damn. He was just, I know it was a drug transaction. Damn, I hope I didn't get him on camera. I don't think so. Anyway, he wasn't paying attention. He was thinking about the fact that I know it. He was thinking about the fact that I was here. His mind wasn't focused on backing up. You know, because I look like I'm just spying or something, but I'm not. I ironically was here. You know, I'm not looking for no problems or nothing. I was just pulling away from the noise. And anyway, I've been documenting for the most part, but they came up and I didn't even realize that's a house over there. None of that. But I'm pretty sure he was getting some goods. I know that just because of behavior, you know, act like you're on the phone and shit, and leave all that bullshit. But damn, my G backed up right into the solid. Trees are the best, bro. Trees are one of the most coolest things in the world. A car just, the tree said. The tree just stood there like a G. Oh man, let's talk about trees. I have to document in this really cool place that I found. Best tree I've ever seen in my life so far. Best tree. The fucking roots were like this. Like literally like this on the ground, like just thick as fuck going through the floor. But like it wasn't a regular tree. I mean, it's a tree. I just don't know the name of it. That bit was dope. But yeah, we gotta realize that with celebrities, you know, there's a finished product, and that's what we see. You know, there's nobody in this world that could be cool 24/7. Nobody. You know what I'm saying? Nobody. We all sleep. We all eat. We all shit. We all are down. There's nobody that's gangster all day. Don't be fooled by that. You know what I'm saying? Don't be fooled by that, guys and women. You know, don't be fooled by it. And I'm gonna make it a point to not be fooled by it by myself either. Like, for example, I was watching a video today, and I seen a couple videos, so I'm not even gonna name drop these people, but I seen a couple videos, and as soon as these rappers, as soon as they went live, in the background, well, one of them, he was still laying down. He was still laying down. He didn't give a fuck. You know, and his sheets covered up. You know what I'm saying? Like, shit that, like, the world will make you think that, that's not cool, or you gotta always be on the grind and up and getting it. It's like, nah, man, like, nah, that ain't real. That's not real. Like, we all go to sleep, we all get comfy, we all like to relax, we all like to sit back, we're not always toting a gun all day. You know what I'm saying? And we want to create this image of, it's bullshit. It's all bullshit. Some people have the ability to consistently portray a specific image that by default in the eyes of other people, it just creates this life, this world, this belief. It's not real. It's not real. You know what I'm saying? And we could be whoever we want. We could be whatever character we want. You play the role long enough, you become that character. It's like that dude that played the Joker. I think I ain't go too deep into it, but I'm not sure if he died or what, but he really got in tune with that personality. I think he did, and which is good for movies. You really want to get into that mode, but again, you could be whatever character you want, but just remember that you don't have to be the characters that we've seen. We don't have to be the characters that we've seen. We don't have to live up to their standards, because the characters that we see, they're not really the same. Like, that's not who they really are. Like, I'll use Will Smith as an example. I don't know the truth, and it's all internet stuff as well, so at the end of the day, I'll never really know. Based on what I'm perceiving now, it ain't the same, goddammit. It ain't the same Will Smith that I perceive. And it doesn't have to be. At the end of the day, he's not living his life off me. He doesn't even know who the fuck I am, so let alone him make decisions based off my perception. Like, that would be silly of him. He has a lot of success based on what he's accomplished and done. But what I'm saying, one would think that, based on the movies and the roles that he's had, he's a specific person. But, now according to internet stuff that you don't know if it's real or not, but at the end of the day, it's like, you know what I mean? Like, I looked up to this person. Like, at the end of the day, like, I don't know. I don't know. That's just one example. Another example is like rappers. There's some rappers that back then I've listened to, and like, you hear them on Instagram going live or like arguing on some silly stuff, and I'm not saying I don't do it, but what I'm saying is, like, are you really a thug, bro? Like, you really a thug? Because in my eyes, a thug won't even hit record, bro. Like, in my eye, a real thug is gonna just take care of business and just or like, the recording of that, the aftermath is gonna be in the internet. There is no, the people that and I'm not saying I'm a thug. I'm not saying that, I talk. I'm one of the biggest talkers. I'm one of the biggest talkers on the internet. If that, I would say I talk a lot. But again, it's just people that you have this perception of them, and you think that they're a specific way. But one of my mentors said that he's like, we get mad at the internet, but what the internet is doing is it's simply exposing us. It's exposing us. It's like, I'm not gonna name drop any rapper specifically, but there's a few that I'm like, bro, like, for real? Like, they're engaging in that? Like, I don't know, bro. Like, but it's cool. Like, at the end of the day, it's like, bro, if being a thug if portraying myself as a thug brought me 500,000 every fucking 2 weeks, shit, I wouldn't mind. You know what I'm saying? I would be a thug. I fucking act cool and thuggish, but one thing that you gotta realize is, like, an image that gets you to a high level of success, sometimes you gotta hold that image in order to sustain the income. And that's one thing that I'm not about. Like, I'm not trying to hold an image that isn't true to me. So I lay it all out from the jump, from the foundation, and I'll develop from there, and I'll find myself and where I want to stand and how I want to move based on that. But I'm not gonna sit here and put a specific image out there and create this, I think the word is caricature, that, number one, doesn't resonate with me, let alone me agreeing to sustain that character. You know what I'm saying? Like, And if people are up and coming artists and they're really good from a thug perspective, but they know they're not a thug, bro, I give people permission to just be real. Like, fans, my followers, look, I'm not really a thug. I've never killed nobody. If you guys are thriving off that, then at the end of the day, cool. But I do this from an entertainment perspective, but I don't live that life. I'm not really like that. I think we'll be surprised by the amount of connection that would happen, and the shift in actually being a true influencer, because it's not just that having that platform. Like, that platform is great, don't get me wrong. I'm sure it's great. I don't know from experience, but I know it has to be great. But also, there's a lot of skeletons or hidden vibes that the normal person doesn't see. And I believe that those skeletons could be addressed, if you will, those insecurities from a rapper's perspective, those insecurities that they're going through, that unclarity, that confusion, whatever it is that they're overcoming. If they were just real with the audience and understood that they just released that pressure, I believe that a lot of good would come from it, from a providing value to humanity perspective. Because number one, you have a lot of people that are following you and they really think that you're about that life. And some people, I'm not gonna front, like, sometimes I've actually had motives. I'm like, man, like, do I gotta be a fucking killer? Do I gotta be a fucking thug? Do I gotta fucking, like, I'm not gonna front. I've sometimes I've even told girls that I'm like, yo, I've had conversations with girls and I'm like, sometimes I'll be wanting to be a thug and sell some drugs and shit. And the reason behind this was, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you could tell that it creates a behavior. You could tell it creates a behavior. But I'm good. Like, I'm just good. And if you don't really live that life, if you've lived it, cool, I get it. But at some point, it's gonna catch up to you. Reality's gonna catch up. Reality being that you've developed, and it's not that anymore. And I'm just fascinated by the amount of people that I had respect for, and they're far from that. But to my point that I mentioned earlier, is like, people grow. People do grow. And I think it's our duty to develop. And I also think it's our duty to communicate to people that aren't aware that we grow as a human race. We grow. And I also think it's important for creators from a music perspective to share, if they know. Some don't know. Some are just going through the process. But if you didn't know, just realize that the reason people resonate with your music is because they're at a certain mental level that you were in when you created that music or wrote that. And it's not okay for somebody to be stuck in that for years. But it's happening. And if like the consumer is ignorant of that, I'm just here to say, hey, I find that, like, I hear the music that some people that I respect listen to, and I'm like, damn, they've been listening to that for years. Like, years. I'm talking about years. And don't get me wrong, there's classics. Yeah, sure, classics are great. But from a foundational perspective, why are you listening to those classics? Like, what about that is so fulfilling? What about those classics is so fulfilling, and what benefit does it bring to you by re-listening to that and keeping that as a mental mantra? Are you doing it to be creative? Are you doing it to tap into something that you experienced in the past? Or are you just doing it because it makes you feel good? And that's where you like to be from a mental space. Understand that regardless, you're going to have to move forward, and there is such thing as a reality. So, keeping people in a mental cycle is one thing, but I also believe that as an artist, as a musician, it's our duty to educate and tell the end listener, like, guys, I created this back in 2009 when I was in the street. Currently I live a complete different life, but just communicate. You have the ability to pull out of that, understand that I have this platform, and it makes it seem like this is what it is, but at the end of the day it's not, and y'all need to know that. I'm about business, I'm about investing now, I'm about personal growth, I'm about fucking bitches, whatever the case may be. Like, just keep it OG, because there's people that really look up to being that because they think the end result is going to come from being that, but that's not the case. Like the end result of being a cool musician isn't going to be by being a thug, isn't going to be by being a fucking a gangster or a killer, a shooter. It can be, don't get me wrong, there's a targeted demographic that's going to resonate with that. It can be, but it's not going to be for everybody, and especially me especially me, because I'm not that. So it just won't really resonate home with anybody. So yeah, man, I want to share my perspective on the end result and the value of documenting yourself, so that you number one, start balancing the equation out. It's not okay for us to just listen and learn from other people. We have to balance out the equation by what goes in must come out. You know what I'm saying? It's not okay for us to just listen, and damn, bro, that tree has no effect on it. Tree said, fuck that. I've been wanting to drift so bad. I'm not gonna talk about touch because I got it whipping sideways. Oh man, that was the most I've ever got it to turn. That was cool. Alright, now you're getting too excited. That one was okay. The first one I had it in higher RPMs, and this is a fucking Ford Ranger with no horsepower. By the time I pass away, I'm going to drift a car, like a real good drift, a fast car. I know it. Damn, that first one was good. Better than what I've ever done. Woo! I feel better though. Oh man, I feel way better. From when I did this morning, this coffee helped. I still got that. I know I'm gonna either throw up or shit. Some of that fucking fish that I ate, I still have that fishy taste in my mouth. I think it's the second fish that I bought. I'm not gonna let go of fish 100%, but I'm not gonna buy the bag that I think that fucked me up. But yeah, just keep growing, keep developing. Damn. I know this is not cocaine in my nose. This is not cocaine. I have to say that because even though I don't think I have behaviors of a cokehead, except this. But like, I think me with the energy that I got naturally, I'll be. Woo! I mean, but I don't. That I just do naturally. So if I was to be on coke, I think I'll be like off the wall. I think I'll be off the wall, but we'll never know because I ain't fucking with that. I know that I'll probably fuck with it. I'll probably love it. I'll be honest. I'll probably fuck with it hard. I believe so because I like energy. I like high energy. Oh shit. Anyway, that was great. I had a good little time by myself. I want to see what is it. Watch this. Boogers gonna come up. I remember when one of the people that I partnered with working perspective, the mechanic, he was like, "You all right? You look like you're on coke." I'm like, nigga, no, man. But as I watched the video, I was like, I actually did seem like I was on something, because I was like doing this. So I kind of, but at the moment, I didn't understand what the fuck he's. I was like, why the fuck you asking me that? But I kind of see now. But anyway, yeah, man, life is life. You know, it's not roses every fucking day. Reality is not, you know, reality is not what we see it as an end product. So for people that have the ability to communicate that, I strongly advise them to do it, man. Just be more real from a day-to-day perspective, because there's a generation, if you care about this, some people don't give a fuck. Some people just want to grow their bag and say, you know, fuck the world, I don't care about the influence I got, I just want to make the money because I got the influence, which is cool. But, you know, I'm gonna at least educate the people that I can with letting them know, like, hey bro, what has influenced you, what has empowered you, or what is motivating you to move forward isn't necessarily that all the time. You know, there is a reality to it all. And although people won't, you know, the number one way to acknowledge something isn't 100% solid is like, where's the fuck ups? You know what I mean? Like, if you really don't see any flaws in somebody, that should be a red flag within themselves. It's like, I remember when I used to ask, I still do, but I remember a conversation where I asked a girl this question. I'm like, so where'd you fuck up? Nothing. Really? I was good, you know, I came straight home, and first of all, I wasn't talking about you coming straight home, but okay, talk to me, tell me more. You know what I'm saying? Like, tell me more. It just speaks volume, you know, on that as a red flag. You know, if a person for 1 second tries to portray this image like everything is roses, it ain't, man. That's a red flag, goddammit. A red flag. Red flag, and don't ignore it, because you know, you need to know that you're making decisions based on somebody's highlight reels when you're missing out on the truth. And the truth is that it ain't all roses. So keep that in mind as you're listening to, you know, the next musician, the next inspiring artist, the next comedian, the next actor. Realize that there's something going on behind the lines. And when I say something, it doesn't have to be so, you know, tinfoil. You know, when I say something, it doesn't have to be so unethical. It just means that there's work being put behind enemy lines. Like, there's work being put in. There's work. And in that work, there's a lot of mistakes. There's errors. There's a lot of mistakes. And we need to know that. But switching gears, I really, you know, I'm gonna set a goal for it, but I want to drift. I want to drift a car. I want to drift a car. This nigga just cut me off. I want to drift a fast car and experience that. I want to experience what that's like. It's gonna hit it, because I will too. I want to experience what that's like and get semi-good. I want to get to level 5, 6 on it. I'm not trying to be a professional. Maybe, it depends. Once I do it, I'll probably be like, I fought that. But I want to do that. I want to do that. In fact, you know, I believe that good things are going to continue coming to me as long as I keep it OG with myself and keep it OG with the world. And helping from a perspective point of view, like just helping people by giving them proper perspective and realize that, hey, there is good that happening and there's also bad, and balance it. Use that all as leverage in order for me to move forward, and to teach people that they can move forward too if they use the energy and the forces that we have in this world as leverage. Yeah, and this video's done. When I have a next inspiring thought, I'll record. Fuck it. I mean, I'll record. I'm just gonna hit pause and hit record again because